speak to Tom O'Connor, senior foreign policy writer at Newsweek, who joins us now live from New York. Tom, it seems to be a pretty fluid situation on the ground now. How is Russia actually going to annex regions where Ukraine is making significant gains?
Well, that's certainly the challenge that Moscow faces right now, is that if the annexation goes ahead, which all signs indicate it will, we're talking about the western borders of the Russian Federation itself, not just independent people's republics, but actually Russia itself. So there seems to be talk right now among Kremlin officials as to what exactly these borders will be like, because they have not been delineated yet, and we can't assume that they will follow the same administrative borders that Ukraine had for the Donbass region or the south. So I think it's something that Russia is trying to figure out right now. What positions are actually defensible for Russia to be able to say, well, this is part of our border right now. Now, that being said, I think that Ukraine, of course, has the opposite goal of trying to take as much territory as possible at the moment. But it should be noted that the further Ukraine presses on into the borders of the internationally recognized borders of Russia, the more dangerous it becomes, and perhaps the more high casualties we'll see from the Ukrainian side, too, as they get further from their own command and control centers.
Well, just on the subject of Ukraine's counteroffensive, do you think they can keep up their momentum? And if they continue to keep up their momentum, is there a danger that Russia is going to up its aggression, particularly if Putin feels that his campaign there is slipping away?
There's certainly that risk, and I think that it's something that Russia is also trying to contend with on their end, is what more can they do to fortify positions to the west of them and in these regions they've now officially annexed without international recognition, of course. And of course, the Ukrainian risk is that the further they move in, do they risk stretching out their supply lines? The Ukrainian war effort, we have to remember, relies heavily on Western support, and that's something that's been coming in quite generously, but it's never a guarantee for Ukraine either. So if that was to ever dry up or perhaps be limited or even stall at some point, I mean, Ukraine is constantly looking for more and bigger weapons. If there is some change in politics among certain European countries or even the United States perhaps, but especially in Europe, where we're seeing some opposition now rise as energy costs get higher entering winter, that's something that Ukraine faces as a major risk. So there does seem to be some incentive for diplomacy on both sides right now, but it's extremely limited, and the battlefield will really dictate what any terms of ceasefire, what any terms of a halt of a cessation of hostilities will look like.
Tom, good to speak with you. Thank you. Tom O'Connor there in New York.